Hi, Chet and Robin here with Sea Lake Journeys.
Sea Lake Journey.
Tonight we have an overview for you of the independence of the seas. So we have lots of information for you, so hang on.
Well, the Independence of the Seas is a big ship. It's 1,112 feet long. It's 155,000 gross tons. It was built in 2008. Has a double guest occupancy of 3,600. But if you fill up those third and fourth beds, you can get 4,400 passengers on that ship.
Wow, that's a lot of passengers.
That's a big ship with a lot of people.
So we're going to start with the Embarkation. We left out of Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral parking is very pedestrian friendly. We scheduled our COVID test at the port because we had a difficult time getting a COVID test this time. Our ones that we had bought online had expired, and our local county is no longer doing the travel ones. So
and the Walgreens assured us that they would not have it ready in the time frame we needed it.
So we scrambled for a COVID test. So we did take our COVID test at the port. It was quick. It was easy, but
it was expensive.
It was expensive.
$105 a piece.
Yes. The transition from the COVID test to the boarding the ship was smooth. I mean, it was, but we love Port Canaveral. The waiting room that we waited in was quite comfortable. We were first-time cruisers on Royal Caribbean, so of course we did not have our elite status or platinum status to be able to sit in the VIP area, but nonetheless it was quite comfortable to sit at. They kept the overhead announcements regularly informing us because our boarding had been delayed by an hour. They were very accommodating and making sure that everyone was aware that boarding would take place and what order it would take place in. And
we actually ended up getting on the ship about 45 minutes prior to our original scheduled time.
Yeah.
We were supposed to originally schedule at 1. They changed it to 2. We ended up getting on at 12:15.
Well, it was a huge ship, but to me it seemed small.
Yeah, she kept asking me. She goes, "This is bigger than the Sky Princess?" And I went, "Yeah." It doesn't seem like it though, does it?
And I don't really know why it seemed small to me. It seemed like to walk the length of the decks didn't take me as long as what I'm accustomed to on other ships, but I don't know. Maybe it was just the layout of the ship.
One thing, too, also was there was only 2 elevator shafts.
Yes, instead of the 3 that we're typically used to, 1 forward, 1 aft, and 1 midship. This ship only had a forward and an aft.
But with 2,700 passengers on board, we never really had to wait for an elevator, maybe once or twice.
No, I think the only thing was that we were on deck 8, and deck 8 was also a portion of deck 8 was also the quarantine zone. So you couldn't walk all the way across deck 8 because they had it blocked off for quarantining passengers as well as employees that are coming on and off the ship for their contracts. So now we're going to break down the different areas. We're going to start with the adult pool area.
I have to say, probably my favorite part of the ship. Very well set up, very well laid out.
What I really liked was the pool had a little bridge going over the pool, but under the bridge they had like a little
table.
It was all the way the whole length of the pool, and it was basically a table where you could put your drinks, and it had little stools to sit on either side of it. The only bad thing about that was people would leave their empty drinks there, and the crew cannot get into the water to retrieve the dirty dishes. So you end up with these dirty dishes lined up on this really nice little ledge inside the pool. So that's the only bad thing. If you're going to do that, then take your dirty dishes and put them on the edge of the pool. That way the staff can retrieve them. That's my tip
really,
for that.
I couldn't believe people left all that filth there. But you know, there was no tables to set your drinks on out there.
No, we thought that was the most bizarre thing ever.
All the pool decks,
no
plenty
tables.
of chairs, plenty of shade, no tables.
And when we talk about tables, we don't mean the tables where you sit out with the 4 chairs. We're talking about
the little
small
table
tables
between the loungers.
The loungers. There were no tables anywhere. but there was plenty of shade in the adult area. So in the adult area, where the pool was at, there was several rows of loungers that were not in the sun. They were under like an overhang. So it was nice and cool. There was a breeze, but yet you were not in the sun.
And another great thing was the music was over by the main pool. It was pretty loud over at the main pool, but where we were in the adult section, you could still hear the music, but it wasn't blowing your head off.
It was like the perfect volume.
Yeah.
And the decor around the pool deck, to me, it seemed a little outdated.
Hello, Royal Caribbean. The 1970s called. Yeah. They want their pool deck back.
Now, they did have the hot tubs in the adult pool area, and they were not just lukewarm.
Best hot tub of all the cruises we've been on. Absolutely the best hot tub because it was actually hot. There was only adults in it. It was large enough, and it was overhanging off the side of the ship, so we had great views. My favorite hot tub on any ship I've ever been on. Between
Princess, Carnival, and Royal Caribbean, hands down, kudos for you. That is a comfortably hot tub. And the pool there was a nice temperature. Yeah. It wasn't hot, it wasn't cold, it was like a perfect temperature. And the hot tub also had a bench that went all along the outer edge of it so people could sit on the bench, which was kind of nice.
And you know what else I liked? They had, all the loungers had cushions on them.
Yes.
Nice thick cushions.
But the only thing was, rarely did you see a deck steward with beverages asking you, did you want a beverage?
I never saw one myself.
I think that they could increase the staff around the pool area in the adult area. I mean, the bar is right there, but who wants to get out of the pool and go up to the bar and order a drink? I'm sorry, we're spoiled. We would like to have a deck steward come along and offer us some beverages.
They had a lifeguard there. Maybe we could have asked him for a drink.
Yeah, and they did have lifeguards at every pool, and that was great. Then the next area we're going to talk about is the main pool area, which is basically the family pool area. Yeah. And that is where the towel station is located. And you show them your room key and you check out towels. If you don't return them, they most gladly charge you $25 per towel.
I think I would return that towel.
That's one thing that I do enjoy about Princess. Princess, you don't have to check out towels. Towels are just there for you to use and return. And I don't think they seem to have a very big towel theft. And they're nicer towels than either Carnival or Princess or Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean's towels, I would have to say, is a lesser quality than Carnival and an even lesser quality than Princess.
Definitely not worth $25. So take that towel back.
No. The music was very family vacation vibe music. No inappropriate. You know, sometimes on Carnival the deck parties get a little inappropriate for children, but Royal Caribbean, kudos to you for keeping it very family friendly. Then the Splash Bay zone, that was the kids' pool. That's where we saw all the kids at.
If I was a kid, that's where I would have been too. It looked fun.
It was an incredible area for kids with the water slides and the spouts and the bucket that dumped on them. They even had their own little whirlpool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they had a lifeguard there. And let me tell you, the lifeguard was really paying attention. I noticed he called a couple of children out on running on the deck and some different issues. And they were really paying attention. And there was plenty of room for the parents to sit along the outer edge of it, and they could have their feet in the water, but yet they could still watch their children. And it seemed to me that children ages 7 to 10 were the biggest population of kids. And we're not talking 10 or 20 kids.
That's 200.
We're talking a couple hundred kids.
Yeah.
And then the next area we want to talk about is the area called the Promenade.
Promenade deck, deck 5.
Which, you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between.
It looked like a shopping mall. When you're walking down it, there's stores and restaurants, and it looks like a mall. I didn't think I was in a ship anymore.
It was very pedestrian. You felt like you were either in a shopping mall or in a little village, you know, something along that lines. Like if you've ever been to Ybor City in Florida, a lot like Ybor City, or maybe Gatlinburg, some of those areas where Gatlinburg, Tennessee, where you walk down, you know, the
very touristy little main street.
But there was something really bizarre about it.
Yeah, it transforms at night. It goes from a quaint little village of tourism into, I don't think I want to walk down there, I might get mugged.
And we really didn't get why the lights were turned down in the evening.
And flickering and going out.
And it made me almost feel like I was in a back alley of the bad side of town for a portion of the promenade, which is just bizarre. I'm not sure what...
First I thought they had electrical problems, but then it was like that every night, and I thought, well, must be the way they have it set up.
Yeah, I'm not sure what ambiance they were going for there, but...
creepy maybe?
I'm not sure. But it was kind of odd. It was very odd. And then our next area is the main theater.
Plenty of seats in that main theater, and they all had great views. I mean,
all had every seat had an awesome view, no matter where you sat. It was a tiered stadiums, and we were, of course, sitting in the handicap zone, which was in the very back.
We could still see
and
everything.
We could see everything. We didn't feel like we were in the nosebleed section or anything like that. It was quite comfortable.
And the sound was good. You could hear everything too.
Yes, and it wasn't, we've been in some shows where it was so loud, it was uncomfortable to listen to the singers sing and that type of thing. But they had the perfect mix of sound. Then the next thing was the ice skating.
That was really neat.
We'd never been to an ice skating rink on a ship before. And that was definitely an experience. Now, that was the only venue you had to make a reservation for.
Right.
But one thing that I loved is, I'm not sure where about it was in the show. I think it was at the beginning of the show and towards the end of the show. They were announcing the skaters, and they had their bios up there on the screen for you to see. Let me tell you what, we're talking about some talented skaters. They were from all around the world, champion skaters.
These were not amateurs. These were definitely professional skaters.
Yes, some ex-Olympians and some...
they did a really great show.
They really did. The only bad thing about the ice skating rink is I would call the seating old-time movie theater seats. Where the seat flops up and you have to push it down to sit down. For anyone that's a plus-size person, I don't think that the skating rink seats would be that comfortable for a plus-size person. Now, on the very back row of the ice skating rink, they had I guess they were like bar stools, but they didn't have any arms on them. And so if I was a plus-size person, I think I would choose the outer edge, the top, where they were like the taller bar stools. They seem to be far more comfortable. Our next area is the walking and running track.
Well, you're going to have to either run or walk very early in the morning or very late at night, because the track is set up between rows of loungers. They have people on them all day. And there are going to be shoes out there in front of you and people getting up out of the chair in front of you.
Oh, and don't forget drinks on the floor because there's no tables.
There's no tables, so the drinks are on, everything's going to be on the ground or on the seat. You can't run there unless it's first thing in the morning, early or late at night.
And then we did see some people running and walking on the track. And they did have it marked that one lane was for walkers and one lane was for runners, and you were supposed to go in a certain direction. But it didn't seem to be, the people that were not walking or running were not following that, and they ended up being in the way of the walkers and the runners. Well, in the early morning hours, I think that we should let the walkers and the runners have that area and just kind of come back to that area later when people are laying in loungers. And
maybe go to the gym instead. Went down to the gym and checked it out. It has got great equipment in there. Plenty of it, plenty of free weights, plenty of machines, plenty of treadmills, all top-notch equipment.
And they offered classes in the gym as well, like most ships do.
And the trainer that was in there seemed like a really, really nice guy. A guy that would be willing to really help you out to get motivated.
Our next area is the spa. Now, Chet and I, we love the spa on a ship. Typically, first of all, on this ship, the spa was for vaccinated guests only.
Yes.
That was it. If you were not vaccinated, you were not allowed in.
We ran that a lot on the ship, places that were vaccinated only.
Right. Typically what we are accustomed to is the spa tour. So we love the spa tour. Typically, they take you and one of the spa therapists will walk you through and show you the massage rooms and the hair salon and the different things. And as you're walking through, there'll be like the young lady that does the facials. She'll be in that room and she'll be showing you her equipment and explaining her services, as well as, in the hair salon, they're showing you the products and they're telling you their services. Well, this was not like that.
Not at all.
They had like 3 or 4 tables set up in the vestibule of the gym. Basically, it was a tour of the spa services.
Right.
Not a tour of the spa. So we didn't book anything because we want to see what your massage rooms look like, because we're handicapped. We need a little bit bigger area, or area that we know we can maneuver through. I'm not going to book a massage and then get to a room that I've never seen before and find out it doesn't work for us.
So there was other stuff to do on this ship, though. Lots of activities. Like that ice skating rink we was talking about earlier. You can go skating on that ice skating rink.
Yes, they had it set up certain days you could go and take ice skating lessons. And the people going to give you the lessons are these professional skaters.
Wow! Wish I could have done it. Then they got rock climbing.
Yes, the rock climbing wall had 2 different bells. So there was a lower level bell, and you rang it if you got that far, and then there was a bell at the very, very top. If you made it to the very top, you could ring that bell. So at least you got to ring a bell halfway if you could only make it halfway.
Can't do that, then go play shuffleboard or the putt-putt course. They had a really nice looking putt-putt.
The putt-putt golf course was so cute. It was the cutest putt-putt golf I've ever seen. Plus, it had the clamshell loungers there, so if your kids were playing putt-putt golf and mom and dad just want to sit in a lounger in the shade, it was a perfect area, and it was absolutely the cutest putt-putt I've ever seen.
Then you got ping pong, if you're into that, and something I've never seen on a ship before, the virtual bungee.
The thing about that, though, was the minimum weight was 20 pounds and the maximum weight was 240 pounds.
Then they got the flow rider. That's that surfboard, or you can kneeboard on it.
Yes, and we did have the opportunity to watch a young man do the wave runner, and he was wanting to do the stand-up, and they told him he had to do the boogie board on his belly first, and then his next try could be boogie board on his knees, and if he could master it on his knees, then he could attempt to stand. But he couldn't master it on his knees, and he was 16, and you could see a little disappointment there that he didn't get to stand up on the wave runner. But
it's harder than it looks.
It is, and he even said, coming from a 16-year-old young man, he said it's a lot harder than it looks.
They got a big basketball court up there too, and a large video arcade.
A really large video arcade.
Mm-hmm. And
then of course the kids club.
Kids clubs. Yeah.
Now we don't have children, but we did have some conversations with a few moms that were a little upset about the babysitting. That typically they have babysitting, like must be all the time or every day, and they only had babysitting for a very few hours, and you had to do it by reservation only. But come to find out, it was because of COVID, because they can't have that many children together in that type of area.
You say because of COVID, that kind of covers anything that's not the way it was before. But it's all coming back. It's coming back!
So now we're going to hit the public restroom areas, and we're going to hit this area based on the handicap perspective.
Not real handicap friendly.
Not at all.
I had difficulties in several of them. Had button to go in. That was great to get in there, and then the doors at the stalls were too narrow. The wheelchair wouldn't go in. The stall at the urinal was too narrow. The wheelchair wouldn't go in. So I had to get up on one foot and hop into the bathroom and hop back out to the wheelchair. There was barely enough room to turn around. There was no button to open the door to go out, so I had to wrestle with that. And different levels of difficulty at different public restrooms. There were some that functioned okay, but beware, there are some that are not that great.
I think the best handicap bathroom was on the pool deck. In this, between the main pool and the adult-only pool, there was a restroom there that was handicap accessible, and that was probably the best one, although it still would be a little difficult and a little struggle, but it did seem to be the best one. Now, their restrooms were clean. The public restrooms were clean. I felt bad when every time I would see him come out of a public restroom and really struggle with the door, And the look on his face meant he struggled the whole time he was in there.
There'd be guys in there, you know, in there with me. They're like, "What are you going to do?" And I'm like, "I'm going to try to hop in." Like, "Oh, you need some help?" I'm like, "No, I got this." Thanks.
So the next area we want to cover is the dining room, the main dining room.
Yeah, we had on the app, we selected a dinner time, and when we got there, at the time we were supposed to be there, they said, "Oh, you're not supposed to be here now." Like, "Oh no, what do you mean?" And somehow they had rescheduled us because we don't have any status. We're first timers of Royal Caribbean. We got bumped, which we understand that.
We understand that.
Not a problem. But how about letting us know?
Letting us know that we got bumped.
So we don't get there and look stupid.
Right.
You know?
And of course, because we weren't notified, and the dining staff, they were awesome. The first night we had ate in the steakhouse, so we didn't go to the main dining room the first night. So the second night was when we went to the dining room and found out that they had changed our dining time. But they were accommodating, and they did give us a table. Most of the chairs in the dining room, in the main dining room, have arms. But they do have a few chairs that do not have arms. So if you're needing a chair that doesn't have arms, if you're in the traditional dining, if you just let them know in advance that you need a chair without arms, they will accommodate that. I know that a lot of people in wheelchairs slide from the wheelchair to the chair they're going to sit in. Chet can actually stand up, kind of pivot and sit down, but arms on some chairs are difficult for some people. The dining room style was
beautiful.
It was absolutely gorgeous. It was not outdated. They had the prettiest chandelier hanging up in the middle of that dining room.
I would call it 19th century colonial, maybe 18th century colonial. Look, I can imagine George Washington and John Adams and them guys sitting there. It really looked fantastic.
Yeah, it was a gorgeous dining room. And now for the steakhouse.
Steakhouse.
So our first disappointment with the steakhouse was that there were no tablecloths.
The main dining room had tablecloths.
Yes,
but the steakhouse didn't.
And so it was like, okay, so my thing about the tablecloth is when your drink sweats and the ship moves, and so the sweat that's coming off your drink is rolling off the table into your lap. And I'm just not about that. I like a tablecloth. Just so sorry. The steakhouse, it was nicely decorated. I wouldn't say it was, I would say that the main dining room decor was better than the steakhouse, but it was still nicely decorated. We did have a bizarre light over our table that Chet looked out the window because it was dark outside and it looked like a UFO.
A reflection from the lights above us on the glass.
Looked like a UFO outside
the ship. We'll put pictures up and have to show you.
But our opinion of the steakhouse is that
overpriced.
For the quality of the food, it's overpriced. Now, if we were going to compare Carnival, Princess, and Royal Caribbean's steakhouse, Princess hands down wins the best steakhouse. Yep. Carnival comes in a close second, and Royal Caribbean
a distant third.
A distant third, yes. So our next thing was the cafe on the Promenade, which is a lot like Princess's International Cafe, but they call it the Cafe Promenade.
Yep. Got little sandwiches and cookies and pies, stuff like that, and you can get coffee there, but you got to pay for that.
Right, it's the specialty coffee shop, but it had good cookies. Yep. Good cookies every day.
Chocolate chip cookies were good. Well, they didn't have them one day. I went one day to give them, they didn't have them. Next day I went back and they did.
No, she had oatmeal that day, and he was like, I don't like oatmeal. So overall, food on the ship. Let's talk about the food areas. First of all, the hand washing station in the marketplace.
Nice.
I love the hand washing stations. Yeah. They were touch free. Mm-hmm. They were probably, I would say, 6 or 8 sinks on one side and 6 or 8 sinks on the other side. Plenty of sinks to wash your hands. Excuse me. The food options, they were definitely geared towards family and kids. Hamburgers, hot dogs, macaroni and cheese, that type of thing. The food was, I would have to say the food was home style quality. No salt and pepper on anything. Very bland if you were looking for exciting food items.
If you're a foodie, you're not going to be pleased.
But, you know, with kids and things like that, you know, you have to keep the spices to a minimum. It was so funny because several times the staff asked us if the food was too spicy, and we were like, no, absolutely not. But they're trying to keep it on that family home style type, and spicy foods are not.
Of course, due to COVID, they also have a less selection right now, which I'm sure that will improve once this is over. Yes.
Now, overall service on the ship. First of all, I think it was the first day of breakfast. We met a fabulous young man. His name was Yuli from Indonesia.
Yep.
And he was he was working the dining room floor, picking up the plates and offering you beverages and that type of thing. He was fabulous. Yuli was our number one crew member on that ship.
He gets the $1 million bonus, by the way.
He gets the $1 million bonus, yes. The service desk, Raban.
Yeah.
I can't remember which country he was from, but he worked the service desk, and he was fabulous. He was accommodating. He wanted to make sure that he checked and double checked whatever your concern was, and wanted to make sure that you understood whatever information he was trying to relay to you. So he was fabulous as well. When we ended up in the dining room, when they did seat us, we were so frustrated. We were just going to leave. We were so frustrated with the whole dining time changed and all that. We were ready to leave. But we found out that Yuli was on our dining staff. And it's like, oh, we're staying. We're staying because of Yuli. And then his manager, Remy.
Yeah, Remy.
He was from India, and he was the
head
waiter in charge of Yuli. Yuli is actually a waiter assistant. And then
Shami
from
Indonesia.
From Indonesia, he was actually our waiter. Those three men made a great team. And let me tell you what, Remy knew how to have a crew work and be excited about working, and he was cleaning tables. He did not ask his staff to do anything that he wasn't willing to do.
They were the best team that we've ever had across 30 cruises.
Yes. The majority of the crew, though, they looked busy, but they didn't seem to be doing anything.
Especially at the buffet. You'd come up there, I want a hamburger. They'd throw a hamburger patty on your plate, turn around and walk off and just meander around like an ant. I'm like, what is he doing? How about I get a bun first? And then put the burger on it, and then
some lettuce and tomato.
So he'd come over, put the bun on your plate, and then turn around and run up. And then another guy would come over. Can we get lettuce and onion?
And he would
put
just
the lettuce on and run.
Like, do they not know how to assemble a hamburger? I'm not really sure what was going on with that, but they seemed preoccupied.
It took 3 guys 5 minutes for us to get a hamburger at the buffet.
So I don't know if it was lack of training or if they were just distracted. But if you go to the buffet at the hamburger station, it starts with bun, lettuce, tomato, onions, pickles, burger, cheese, and fries. And you surely, unless you say, can I have a patty only, if you walk up there and say, can I have a cheeseburger, you think they're going to assemble the cheeseburger for you on your plate. Nope, that didn't happen. So sorry about that, but we don't know where that fell down. Room service. So room service is for breakfast only. You can only get room service for breakfast. Now, I don't know if that's just because of COVID or what, and I even called down to the room service station to make sure that I understood it was only for breakfast, and he made it very clear room service was for breakfast only. Now, our room steward. Chet really didn't want to talk about our room steward. He really didn't want to. But I'm going to talk about our room steward because I think that our viewers like to hear everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between. So we have had many, many room stewards throughout the years. And many times, by the time they let you in your room, you know, maybe they got a few more things to do. And that's okay. So they let us in our room at 2 o'clock. We got in the room and the bed was made. And I had to go potty. So I went to the bathroom and realized that there was no toilet paper. So I asked, the room steward was right there, and I told him, I says, our room doesn't have any toilet paper. He says, oh, I'm so sorry. At that point, I'm just thinking he just missed the toilet paper, I really didn't pay much attention to the room. And so I told Chet, I said, well, let's leave the room and let him, you know, finish. Maybe we're just in the room before he's actually finished. And we should have known when we were walking down the hallway when there were dirty dishes all over the hallway. I didn't really pay attention to it, but now I realize later that those dirty dishes in the hallway were from the passengers from the prior cruise. So we came back to the room about 3:30, which was an hour and a half later. Still no toilet paper in our room. So I said to the room steward, I said, there's still no toilet paper in here. And he said something like, give me time. He said something.
Yeah, what's also, we noticed that there was no washcloths and 2 towels.
Right.
Noticed that the toilet, somebody had used it.
Yes.
The old number 2 style. And there's some skid marks in there.
So then I said to him, I told Chet, I said, he is obviously not ready for us to be in this room. So I said to him, I said, the toilet's dirty and there are no towels and there's still no toilet paper. So we're going to leave and we're going to give you time. So we left and we came back an hour later, 4:30. He had not done anything in that room yet. Nothing. Well, I always travel with Clorox wipes and Lysol wipes. I proceed to clean the room. I cleaned the toilet. The desk had coffee stains on it and sticky food items from the person before. Now I'm pretty mad, and I let him know I was pretty mad. And at that point, he told me he needed more time. So I was pretty fed up.
We had to get dressed to go to dinner at 5:30.
Right.
So where are we supposed to go get dressed at? I mean.
So, and then when Royal Caribbean sent us our survey, they asked us how we felt about them with our health and safety. Well, let me tell you something, okay? First of all, you're going to spend time in your room is where you're going to need to have the cleanest environment, right? So when the other passengers leave the ship, the first thing you should do is take everything that's contaminated out of that room. Then you clean that room, and then you bring new clean bedding, linens, and towels into a cleaned environment. That's not what he did. He brought clean bedding into a dirty environment. So then I was a little worried that my sheets weren't clean.
And put our champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries on that nasty table.
Yes, our champagne and our chocolate-covered strawberries were on the desk that had not been cleaned. So I am sorry, but Royal Caribbean, you need to step it up, and that room steward really needs some additional training or something. So enough about the room steward. So Debarkation. What was Debarkation like? Well, because of COVID, they were doing things a little different. So they told you to go have breakfast and then come back and wait in your room and watch Channel 15. So we did that. It was fabulous. Let me tell you what. By the time our number was called, because we don't do self-assist, because of the wheelchair and all this stuff, we have to have our luggage taken off for us. When they called for our time, the lines moved along quickly. Then when you got down into the port again, if you had a birth certificate and driver's license, you had to go through the traditional method of going through customs. But if you had a passport like we did, you just stand on these little circle and the camera does a facial recognition and you're good to go. Let me tell you what, we got out of that port lickety-split. I mean lickety-split. So our overall critique of the Independence of the Seas, Royal Caribbean, is it is very family oriented. If you are traveling with especially young children or teenagers or preteens, it is definitely a ship that you will thoroughly enjoy.
If I was a kid, I would want to be on that ship.
But you know, there's a cruise or a cruise line or a cruise ship for everybody. Royal Caribbean just is not the cruise line for us, mainly because we are traveling handicapped and we need handicap accessible things. If you watch our video on our cabin tour, you'll notice that the handrail in the shower is directly behind Chet while he's trying to sit on the shower bench, so you can't even sit up straight on the shower bench. So mainly for the handicap reasons, Royal Caribbean is just
and that was the best bathroom on the ship for me. The rest of the bathrooms we're not as good as that one. So go check out the handicapped bathroom.
So our video on that is cabin 8315 on the Independence of the Seas. But like I said, if you're traveling as a family, you are going to love Independence of the Seas.
Yep.
Well, we have more videos coming for you of our trip on Royal Caribbean. Perfect day at Coco Cay, the balloon ride, which was fabulous. And we've got several more videos coming out in regards to our trip on the Royal Caribbean Independence of the Seas. Till then, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and we'll see ya.